Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
And a very good evening to you and welcome to Newsline Zoom. Best to contain the spread of this dreaded CV19 and hence the reason why this program too is using technology and we're using Zoom. And this evening joining us on the program is Dr. LakKumar Fernando, who is actually speaking to us as a concerned citizen. Although he is a concerned citizen, he knows a thing or two about what he's talking about. Now then, if I was to tell you that my guest this evening, Dr. LakKumar Fernando, is the president of the Association of Medical Specialists. He is a former president of the Sri Lanka College of Pediatricians, a member of the WHO Technical Management of Dengue and Dengue fever. So we probably agree that he knows what he's talking about. But more importantly, he's also a concerned citizen of our wonderful country. Good evening to you, Dr. Fernando, and thank you for being on Newsline.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me to be here.
Fernando, you've got all these professional expertise and experiences behind you, but may I start by asking you, as a citizen of this country, a professional one at that, but what are your current concerns? Are you concerned in particular medical professionals are not doing? What is your take at the moment?
Of course, Sri Lanka has unlike in various fronts, though we are still a very developing country, we are a country who has done very well in the area of health, immunization. Unfortunately, with regard to COVID, for many different reasons and the circumstances has put us in a very, very blink position, in the sense that in the whole world, Sri Lanka is one of the, for some time we are in the red zone of the countries that are handling COVID not so well.
What, Dr. Fernando, what should be done to fine-tune it, to look at it better? What can be done better now?
I think with repeated lockdowns and various things, we have also, not only health-wise, we have economically suffered a lot. So we are in a desperate position. We need to get out of this red zone, green zone, to stay and come and stay there. I mean, time and again, we have had some, we will probably have no chance.
In the past as well, you've sort of warned, given an advisory, if you like, but you've raised the flag in the past. Tell me a bit more about that experience.
I think we had the first time that we asked for a lockdown, despite the mentality of everybody was against a lockdown, was the May-June lockdown. And of course, the government had a good look at it and they responded, and we had a lockdown, which unfortunately was abruptly lifted on the 21st of June. And on the 19th of June, just a couple of days before that, we noticed there was this very dangerous, that the whole world is now facing this Delta variant that has completely taken COVID in new direction, against vaccines to everything. And we just discovered some Delta variant in Dematagorda. And despite that, we decided to completely ignore that and open the country on the 21st. It is actually, I don't blame only the government. I suppose the experts and other people did not alert the government sufficiently about the danger, though the aim is continued to do so. In fact, there is a headline of one of the daily newspapers where I said, we just face dire consequences. About a month later, a few weeks later, I said in another Sinhalese daily that how in America the 10% Delta variant became 50% in no time, and how England is having 90% and so on. and Sri Lanka will also reach 90% without any problem. It happened. So this is actually, if you really look at the trends of these are global trends. If you are carefully observing them, tracking them for a long period, you will realize. So actually speaking, we marched there without realizing that we are going. So that's where we are. It doesn't matter that what has happened. All what we need to do is to see how it is. I'm extremely glad before you asked me for this to come to this interview. We were not sure whether they are going to be an opening up on the 21st or so, that we just heard. The aim is made a request just 2 days before, the day before yesterday night, to consider extending the current restrictions up to at least another 2 weeks for the first of early October, and we are very, very grateful to the government for doing that.
Do you believe then that this extension of this so-called lockdown to expire on the 1st of October is a continued step in a right direction, in a good direction?
Definitely. But the only thing is, now we cannot be complacent and wait like this. Of course, you know that people will say that this lockdown itself has its own deficiencies, that a lot of people are on the road and all. But I won't blame just one party or the government for that, because it is the individuals who are on the road, right? And there is no opposition, no trade union, no organization is asking people to stay indoors. They're only blaming authorities and saying that these people are on the road. But what about people themselves? They should, before going out, they should really see whether it is essential for them to go. So that is, now we cannot waste a single minute or hour in this period up to the 1st of October or so. We should nicely plan how we are the transformation and also the way we are consolidating, so that even when we open up we definitely know that we cannot be locking down indefinitely. This has to end. We could have ended this properly if we did so earlier. So let's do it this time and make sure that we spend a lot of time planning the exit or coming out of the lockdown, so that we will come to the green zone. Sri Lanka will be a country that is I'm sure with the winter tourism, a lot of people want to come to countries like Sri Lanka. Let them have a lot of faith that we are a safe place to come, not just from selected 1 or 2 countries, but from all over the world, very transparently. Let tourists choose this as one of the best destinations to come, and we have our infrastructure, everything ready for that. I think that the reason is, I am asking this is not only that the hospitals are overburdened and the way that we are going to get out of capacity, but we need to get into a stronger position in our economy. Otherwise, everything will collapse.
What about this whole business about the children and vaccinations? From a professional perspective, what do you say about the vaccinations for children?
We have one area where we have complete agreement with regard to vaccinating children. That is to vaccinate the high-risk groups of children who have various comorbidities. That is, they have underlying disease. Even in Sri Lanka, the number of extremely few deaths due to COVID that has happened in children, a very large majority have been those with comorbidities. So there are some children with certain comorbidities, they are very vulnerable if they get COVID. Therefore, the College of Pediatricians have made a strong recommendation about the need to vaccinate the children with comorbidities as fast as possible. That we are in agreement. I am in agreement very much. Then the other question is about the other healthy children. It's, the only vaccine that is licensed out of the vaccines licensed in Sri Lanka is the Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna. Moderna, I'm not sure whether we got an official license or not, but it can be taken. We could give it to the 12 to 18 age group. So when we give this different countries in different parts of the world are following different say, stands and the ways of doing it in starting from US. But also new data has emerged with regard to this. So what I say is that we should not rush this decision. And then the most important thing is that we need to see what is the hospitalization rates, what is the morbidity rate of children having COVID. Because most children, unlike the adults, they have largely asymptomatic disease or very self-limiting disease. What is the rate at which children could be hospitalized due to there is one particular acute adverse effects called myocarditis, which is noticed with the Pfizer vaccine. So we really need to see what are the chances of getting admitted due to COVID, what are the chances of getting admitted due to the myocarditis due to vaccine. So if there are certain people, for instance, in UK, the chief medical officer announced that they should give it to children. But the Royal College of Pediatricians, which is their professional body, wrote against it, saying that they still need more data, and they need to study this. So actually speaking, currently the Sri Lanka College of Pediatricians and also the Advisory Committee on Communicable Disease is in the process of evaluating and studying it. Nobody should, of course, once this comes, it has to come as not as a compulsory thing, but as it has to be consented by explaining to the parents, and it should be done in the best interest of the children as well as in the immunization program. Because if you have any unwanted adverse effect, that will have repercussions on the very successful immunization program for the diseases we have in this country.
And thank you, Dr. Fernando. I think it's time now for our little peek for this evening's headline news from the News First Primetime News team. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And welcome back to Newsline Zoom. I'm in conversation with Dr. LakKumar Fernando, who is speaking to us as a concerned citizen. He's talking about the concerns that all of us in the Republic have, especially about this COVID-19. One of the questions that we'd like an answer to, really, is that there is a steady decline in the testing figures. From, I have it here, my researchers have sent it to me, over 22,000 PCR tests done on the 19th of August, but 11,000 done a few days before that. What's going on? I mean, is there a lesser need now for testing? Is there a greater need? What's the real score?
Well, I should tell you, all the people who are talking about all these topics like testing and so on, we should get the science behind that. Unfortunately, we are all in camps, pro and against camps. So we will always say this is good and bad on a fault-finding basis. But let me tell you, that we failed to accept the fact that we had got community transmission. But in the whole world, now COVID has become endemic. I would think in Sri Lanka it is becoming endemic. From a scientific point of view, once something becomes endemic, the testing that we do on a kind of a random testing and so on changes, because we have to assume if they are I'm sure this will be realized by those people who are shouting about these things in weeks to come. The whole world is rethinking whether we should now. Normally, earlier we said that we need to keep our testing positivity rate below 5%. Then it became 25% and so on. We said that we need to increase the testing capacity. That's all history. Now we have come to a different stage where all our maneuvers, everything that we did, and everything the virus did, the virus has come far ahead of us. And now this has become an endemic disease. When it becomes endemic, what you do is you should really test the symptomatic and then consider all the people who are around them positive asymptomatic. So much so, I saw in Germany from about the 11th of October or so, they are going to stop free testing because this is a strategy that the world will have to adopt. We cannot be completely spending all our money on testing everybody with PCRs. We have to keep doing some testing in a very scientific strategy. I would not spend time explaining it in this program. What to say, all the symptomatic patients, for instance, in my ward, when I got 19 children coming with fever, when they were tested, they did not think that they had COVID. 15 became positive for COVID, one was dengue, 2, 3 were viral fevers. After 25 children who came for the admissions, 18 were COVID positive, and there were, out of the negatives, also 2 mothers were COVID positive. So that is the endemicity of COVID. But we get into a situation where we will have to have, now we know what is there. So we need to do some pilot testing to see what is happening in the community. But at the same time, just increasing it from 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 50 to 60 is not what we should be doing now. What we should do is we should test the symptom. Whenever there is a fever or respiratory symptom, 70-80% chance that it is COVID. So let's test them and see who are the people who are around them and consider them as the ones who are their contacts, positive contacts, and treat them, manage them, isolate them, or whatever, prevent further spread from them. So that should be the strategy now.
And what do you say to people who point out that although these vaccinations are being, the vaccination drive is ongoing and so on, but there are still people who point out that in spite of having both the doses and leaving a suitable time period at the end of the second one, people are still dying.
Yeah, I think if you ask me, if the government or somebody wants, what is the most important thing to do at this moment? If you ask me, I would think the most important thing would be to prevent that. All what we see that a certain number of, especially majority of the people who are dying are above 60. And also in the above 60 group, a good percentage of people who have received both vaccines have died. Mm-hmm. And we believe, we are still having incomplete data on this, we believe that out of those people, we have used different vaccines in different quantities, percentages. Largely what we use is Sinopharm. So there are studies done in Javadanapura by Dr. Nidika Malavige, as well as studies elsewhere, has shown that the Sinopharm vaccine, which actually has helped Sri Lanka a lot, is very, very effective against the young people above 18. They have very good antibody response, but for about 7% of people who are above 60, the Sinopharm gives almost no protection. There's no antibodies. So it is quite possible that this is the group of people who have received above 60 Sinopharm 2 doses, but no protection, are like those who have not received vaccine. So they should be given another vaccine, like either AstraZeneca or Pfizer. So if we are to use Pfizer in this country, the priority should not be to give it to a particular area or give it to the young people of a certain province or whatever. Actually, there is a recommendation made through the SLMA also, where after a 1 month interval of getting 2 Sinopharm doses, people who are above 60, they be considered to give I would not call it a booster, it's a third dose, because booster is given for people to increase their immunity. These are people who have no immunity despite this thing. And the important category are the people who have cancers, who are on immunosuppressive drugs, and also people who are having severe, kidney disease and so on. So those lot you have to take the Pfizer to them before anybody. I would say the children with comorbidities and these two groups first before taking Pfizer anywhere else.
And Dr. Fernando, what about some of our citizens who are, for a variety of reasons, who seem to be shying away from this vaccine? Is that a good idea? Is it a bad idea? And should they be, if they be not wanting to take their vaccine, should they be allowed into places of public interest like supermarkets, shops, malls, that kind of thing?
I mean, two things. I want to say that the people who are we have to have certain countries have that is people who are refusing to take the vaccine. But another important thing I want to tell you is that recently after the government started vaccinating the below 30, say the 30 to 20 or 18 to 30 group, the response of the young people to get the Sinopharm vaccine has been low because they are only about 40% people have come. It's a shame because these are the young people who are going to be our future. And we really need to vaccinate them and to make Sri Lanka COVID-free as fast as possible. I invite the media and everybody because there are people who are going for Pfizer for two reasons. One is for style. The other one is they think that they will be going abroad soon. I mean, definitely when they want to go abroad, if that becomes a problem, maybe nobody is going to go abroad next week or within a month or so, and except very few. And we can think of Sri Lanka is getting more Pfizer. We can give a lot of people another Pfizer boost also after several months. But the priority now is to make everybody COVID-free and protected. So I take this opportunity to tell the young people, be patriotic, think of your country, please come, because the studies have shown in the young people, the Sinopharm produces excellent immunity. Please come and get whatever the vaccine that is available, which is, of course, Sinopharm currently. And I'll tell the authorities also sort of not to kind of create a problem among the young people by giving selected favored group the Pfizer, and then that is another reason why they are shying away from getting the.
And Dr. Fernando, we've had lots of reports of black fungus cases here in Sri Lanka. Should the Republic be concerned about that?
Definitely, but I exactly do not know the extent of the problem. This was something that came in India also. But black fungus spread will happen the moment we get into a big overcrowding, hygienic issues and everything, and also there are other funguses. So with the current lockdown, there was a reduction in the number of cases in hospitals, the oxygen capacity, everything became a little adequate. And one of the reasons why AMA said not to open up on the 21st is we thought that our current infectivity rate is very high. Therefore, if you open up, the spread will be very fast, or faster than all the previous occasions, and we will reach the tipping point and oxygen capacity, saturation, and everything in no time. In that sort of situation, there will be overcrowding, and any black fungus or any other disease like that can spread in a setup.
And as we enter the last few minutes, can I ask you this? Various people, professionals, have actually stepped down from their official roles. Somebody's put together this thing here. We have Professor Neelika has given up, senior consultant physician, Dr. Ananda Vijayavikrama, and there are other names, Asoka Gunaratna, they change, Dr. Anil Jasinger, all sorts of things like that. What is the message that we, you, me, as the public, what is the message that we get from that?
I think the government is in a learning curve from whom and from where to get the advice. I suppose the initial thing was that the most governments do that. They have a set of advisors whom they trust or believe. If they are not the most knowledgeable on this, then the advice will not take them anywhere. That probably happened to Sri Lanka to a certain extent. No government or the president wanted to make COVID worse in Sri Lanka, I'm sure. But all what happened was that they were given advices by people who probably did not have the capacity, the knowledge to do it. And also, it also prevented people from sort of getting a very wide, independent. One thing you need to realize is a large majority of them, including myself, we have no politics behind us. We are politically independent. We love this country. We are citizens of this country. Whatever advice that we want to give is the advice that will help the country, our future, our children, as well as the people. So we need to invite people to give that advice. But in a situation, this kind of to a relatively new government, I think there was the trusted lot of people who were giving advice. They were not the most credible and the most knowledgeable. And I think as a result, it went in a long direction. So that probably leads to a degree of frustration, and I'm sure that those are the things that results from people at a certain stage think enough is enough. But I would think that the message is taken. At any point, there is a way for correction. But whatever it is, we have to get out of this situation with all good thinking and a degree of calmness, and trying to see that this is our country, that irrespective of our political and other differences, that if we make this a better place for the future for all of us only, that we will all survive.
Well, that sounds like good words of advice, really. Thank you, Dr. LakKumar Fernando, for having been on Newsline Zoom. We appreciate very much your time and, of course, your analysis of the situation. And on that note, it's now time for the primetime news from the Newsfirst primetime news team. And it's a wonderful program. It follows after this program finishes. And on that note, let's wish you a very good weekend. Take care. God bless.